तर आता सर्वप्रथम मी मॅडमची ओळख करून देतो. आजच्या आपल्या प्रमुख वक्त्या म्हणून आपल्याकडे आहे डॉक्टर नीलिमा कुलकर्णी मॅडम. So basically she retired as a head of Department of Zoology from Vaze College in Mulund. She is currently the chairperson at Hariyali Mulund Vibhag, and her areas of interest are biodiversity, environmental impact assessment, ecosystem services, etc. So today she will be covering the topics like she will talk about NGO Hariyali. Apart from that, she will talk about all the activities which they conduct from Hariyali, and all the things like afforestation, water conservation, solid waste management. मग त्यामध्ये कंपोस्टिंग, वर्मी कंपोस्टिंग याबद्दल एलॅबोरेट माहिती आपल्याला मॅडम सांगतील आणि त्यांच्या नर्सरी ऍक्टिव्हिटीज बद्दल सुद्धा आपल्याला त्या सांगतील. So brief introduction about her is like this. She has 39 years of undergraduate and postgraduate teaching experience. She is a state, national and UGC scholar. She guided students for MSc and PhD degree. She completed Mumbai University research projects as principal investigator and co-investigator. Her research work was published by Lab Lambert publication in Germany. She attended and presented scientific papers in several national and international conferences. She regularly writes her articles on environmental issues in Marathi for print media. She writes for All India Radio as well, and she has been delivering many awareness lectures in schools and colleges for a long time. She has published 3 books in zoology, and she is working with Hariyali since last 20 years. So actually आज आम्ही म्हणजे खूपच आनंदी आहोत की मॅडम आपल्याला मार्गदर्शनासाठी आपल्याला लाभले, आणि हा आजचा मुळातच विषय जो आहे हा कृतीतून सिद्ध करण्याचा आहे बोलण्यापेक्षा. तर मला खात्री आहे की आजच्या प्रोग्रामच्या शेवटी आपल्या सगळ्यांनाच हरियालीची मेंबरशिप घ्यायला आवडेल, आणि त्या निमित्ताने पुढे हरियालीशी आपण सगळे जोडले जाऊ. सो नाउ आय थिंक I will hand over to Dr. Neelima Kulkarni madam. Now all is yours madam. Thank you so much.
Thank you Sachin.
आणि काही टेक्निकल अडचणी आल्या तरी आम्ही सगळे आहोतच, सो बिनधोकपणे तुम्ही सांगू शकता.
Yes, thank you Sachin for the elaborate introduction. At the outset I would like to thank Maharashtra Seva Sangh Vidnyan Vibhag for giving me this opportunity so that I could interact with you. My present topic for today's topic is in fact a mixed bag. Like I'm going to talk about NGO Hariyali as well Hariyali's scientific approach towards all the activities. Due to the want of time, I have selected some few activities where I am going to show you how Hariyali is scientifically inclined toward whatever it does in the field of environment. Hariyali also think globally, plan nationally, and act locally, as most of the NGOs talk about this. You can see the registered address of Hariyali and also the email addresses and also the website. You can visit the website and see more about the activities of Hariyali. Well, Hariyali is with the strength of about 650 members, which include activity members, life members and institutional members. And for the purpose of operational ease, it has been working in 3 places as Thane, Mulund and Dombivli. As we are acting locally, we are in and around Thane. Our activities are in and around Thane. Well, Hariyali is a action-oriented NGO, and it is based in Thane. What it believes in is public participation and Shramdan. And it was established by our CA Professor Poonam Singhvi. And most of the activities in all fields of environment we have scientific approach. Before I go to the list of activities, what the Hariyali does, I would like to highlight a survey which was done for Thane city after 2005 deluge or the flooding. And this survey was done for MMRDA to study environmental impact assessment and environmental management plan. Well, it was submitted to the MMRDA. We really do not know what happened to it later. Well, these are the activities, as if I just read quickly, as you have it in front of you, Afforestation, where I have written complete cycle from seed collection to the post-plantation care. We will talk about it a little bit later. Then the solid waste management, rainwater harvesting at plantation sites, spreading awareness, organization of workshops, seminars, conferences, water conservation, nursery activities. We have 3 nurseries, one at Kasar Vadavli in Thane, another one is Murar Road, Mulund West, and Tetavli, Rabade. Then also the kitchen gardening as an extension of our composting activity. Then we hold exhibitions, we take treks and nature trails for spreading awareness. Many of us write articles and take awareness lectures going to the different schools and colleges. We also participate in Shobha Yatra every year. We also have done earlier river parikrama to understand the level of pollution in the rivers. And also we participate in several environmental events and many more such activities. Well, now we come to the first activity which I want to talk a little bit in elaborate way is afforestation. Hariyali has till today planted more than 100,000 plants through major afforestation projects. And in addition to that, several small projects, we have also planted the trees in the different areas. Hariyali is successful in creating man-made forests near urban areas. All these are near urban areas. That is what is very important, such as Munda Dongar, Kokni Pada. Kokni Pada is the Thana side of Sanjay Gandhi National Park. Then at Bhavale, which is about 20 kilometers away from Thane, where 25 acres of barren land of forest department was given to Hariyali. Then there were about 9 different small hillocks, which we made green and handed it over to the forest department in 2015. Well, currently working at Digha, which is in Thane, and at Tetavli, Rabade, since 2017. This project also is a very ambitious project, as we have about 33.4 acres of land from forest department, and which is rather given to us with tripartite agreement for 7 years. And this is our 4th year, and we will complete our project, make it green, and we have a lot of other ambitious things that we want to implement there, which will come in the course of time. I will tell you about that. And for this project, Vyakti Vikas Kendra, India, is the one which is our official funder. Vyakti Vikas Kendra is an NGO of Shri Shri Ravi Shankar. And this funder is totally supportive, and so we could implement many of our ideas in this particular project. Well, when I said as a part of afforestation, when in the previous slide I mentioned that it is a complete circle that we complete, starting from the seed collection. So we do seed collection from the forest, from the people. Often we treat the seeds with the Jivamrut. So we have people who can make Jivamrut and treat the seeds for the better results. Seed segregation, seed packing, distribution to the trekkers, warkaries, hikers, nature lovers, etc. and making of mud balls. So all these are the ways by which we collect the seeds, prepare them into packets and distribute them to different people so that more and more seeds can be sowed. Making of soil beds and saplings at Kasar Vadavli, Murar Road and Rabade. These are our nurseries, wherein we do a lot of activities where we care for saplings. We collect the milk bags from the people for making the saplings. We do watering of saplings, maintenance of medicinal plants and so on. And also we have several plantation sites along with major projects that I mentioned about, such as IIT project, Koknipada, Balkum pipeline, Mulund pipeline, Munda Dongar, Airoli highways. We had, sorry, excuse me, we had planted plants at NH3, that is Mumbai-Dhule highway, some 10-15 years back. For all these activities, volunteers from different clubs, mandals, other NGOs, corporate offices, schools and colleges, students, particularly MSS volunteers, nature lovers, they all come because we believe in participation and Shramadan. So all these people come for Shramadan for our afforestation and all other activities. I need to mention here that for all these activities, we have full support and even a guidance to an extent from corporation and from the forest department. That is how we could achieve so much of as far as the afforestation is concerned. Well, now, as far as the scientific approach towards afforestation is concerned, we are always of the opinion that we should plant endemic species. Though we see in Mumbai about 50%, 45 to 50% of the plants that we see around are from outside India. But we believe in endemic species. So all the species that we plant at have planted at Tetavli are endemic in nature. Endemic are the species which are found in a particular geographical area and found only in that area. That is what we insist on, to have the endemic species. Another very important concept I just want to take across is urban ecosystem concept. That means whenever we plant the trees, it is not sufficient only to plant the trees, because we have to have the plants in the ecosystem. म्हणजे संपूर्ण परिसंस्था असायला हवी. And for that purpose, the next slide, I will elaborate it a little more, that as you have the ecosystem, you have all the components, like every ecosystem has got the biotic as well the abiotic component. So when in an area, when we have a committed area given to us for the plantation, I think if we do urban ecosystem or we develop urban ecosystem there, that is of more significance, and by virtue of that we will have better biodiversity in that particular area. म्हणजे थोडक्यात सांगायचं तर suppose if you have a place where you want to plant say 30 plants, then please don't plant all 30 as the trees, big trees. But what you include there is you should have some grasses, you should have some herbs, you should have some smaller shrubs which grow up to 4 to 5 feet. You also should have some little larger shrubs which go up to 10 feet or so, and then the trees. By this, and also you take care of the abiotic factor, particularly the water management in that particular area. That is what I just wanted to take it across. And as you know, on 5th June, World Environment Day, our minister also says so, that we need to develop, or we are planning, rather government is planning to develop Nagar 1 in 2000 towns or cities across India. I'm sure our Tetavli is one of such Nagar 1s that we are nurturing, and we are making it green for 7 years. Well, I have given some names of the endemic plants. Just you can read for yourself what are the, if you have a bigger place and you want to do the plantation, all these endemic plants you can plant. This is a continuation of the previous slide. As I said, along with the big trees we have planted there in Tetavli, grass, herbs, small shrubs, large shrubs, etc. And results have started being visible. That means we have developed there, rather we are trying to develop butterfly garden there in Tetavli, and also a Nakshatra one with experts guidance. And the results are visible means we can see some fauna coming. They have started coming to that place. In our partly developed butterfly garden, about 27 species of butterflies are seen. So that is what is the ecosystem concept that we should follow when we do any plantation. Now, we also want to develop the site, that is Tetavli site, as an educational trek for students. Now, when the students go trekking, they will see the biotic as well abiotic factors, because we have done there the water management. In the slides to come, we will also see what we have done as water management in different sites. And that is what is a scientific approach that we always have for all the activities what we do in Hariyali. So what we want to do is we will develop that a trekking line so that students can understand the different species, the floral species as well the faunal species, and also how the water management is done. We also are going to have there we also have a nursery there. We also are planning to have a small composting pit there. So it's a wholesome tour or a trek you can call, which will be for the students. That is what precisely we are working on. Well, now the scientific community is seeking way to sequester carbon in storage components such as ground or vegetation. We all know that trees are the one which are the best carbon capturers. They sequester carbon, and that is how the pollution level rather helps in reducing the pollution level. However, the rate is largely a function of tree species, stand age of the tree, and the site quality. So all these things also are to be studied before we go in for the carbon sequestration. Carbon credit, you must have heard about the term. Carbon credit is the market term used for sequestered carbon, that is a trapped carbon in the forest. Well, we have not yet gone into the carbon credit, but we are working on it. We want to go into the carbon credit, but though till not, we have definitely helped in carbon trapping by planting so many trees. And that is how we are a small party to reduce the pollution, air pollution. Well, these are some of the photographs what I thought I will show you. The one on the left side is one people collecting the seeds. The down left down is the students which are roped in for seed segregation, the packaging of the seeds, and that is how they also know about what are the seeds, which seed is belonging to which particular plant, because that part also is told to them. So that is how the younger generation also comes into the picture. Then the one which is on the right side is at Koknipada, which I said Koknipada was our first project, which started in 1996. And as it is a part of the Sanjay Gandhi National Park on the Thane side, which was quite barren land. So along with the forest department, in 3 years, 4 years time, what we could do is we could make that entire area, which is closer to the Tikujini Wadi. All you must be knowing in Thane, Tikujini Wadi, close to that is the entrance for this particular Koknipada. Now this Koknipada is self-sustainable. And we also have created there, we have done the water management such that we have created there about 5 artificial lakes. We will talk about that when we talk about the water conservation. These are again plantation at Digha, the one on the left and also down, and the one on the right is the Lohagad, which we had planted about 500 trees at Lohagad in 2012. This is Bhavale, which I was talking about, 25 acres of land from the forest department for 7 years. And you can see that in a nutshell, what you see is before how it was and what happened after 7 years. We made those hillocks into green jungle. Now this is Tetavli. Again, I have kept one photograph showing how the contouring was done, and the entire site was visited by the experts and by Hariyali volunteers to find out where we can have our bandharas or buns, how the plantation could be done for planning of plantation. On the right side, you can see the volunteers from the corporate offices, and our very young volunteer from Hariyali is explaining them how to go about how you're going to do the plantation. On the left down, you can see the people carrying implements to the site. And the fourth one, the right down, is the current status where our plants, we have finished planting about 14,000, 15,000 plants, and they are now of the height of about 10 feet. Another important thing that we also make volunteers to do and make them understand is the mulching. And as you all know, mulch is a layer of material applied to the surface of the soil around the stem of the plant. Well, the mulch can not necessarily should be always organic in nature, but what we do is whatever the leaves, dry or green leaves which have fallen all over the area, we ask the volunteers to collect those leaves, and those leaves are then spread along with some hard material, some cuttings from the plant branches and so on, and we allow them, ask them rather to put that mulch around the tree. Now, mulching is very essential, particularly after the winter season, when the summer starts setting in. That is the time this mulch is going to conserve the moisture of the soil and also can improve the fertility and health of the soil, and also reduces weeds growth. Because weeding is also another activity, post-plantation activity that we need to do, rather our volunteers do. So we can minimize the weeding by this process of mulching. Then this is a small video which I just wanted to show, where the manure is applied. Manure is being applied. This is the systematic way that we do for every plant. And we train the volunteers, those who come here, so they also can do these things.
Around the plant, remove the pipe from the location and fill up that manure, about half gamela around the plant. The depth is roughly 6-inch deep. Make a circle and make a round. Fill up the manure.
The
Again,
mixing.
with the soil.
Mixing of manure and the soil is very essential. It is not that just you put the manure and forget it.
The excess soil to be collected around the plant. Okay.
Okay, so that was about afforestation, how we are scientific in our approach as far as the plantation is concerned. Well, unfortunately, I couldn't have the video which was talking about how from the plastic bag, how that sapling goes into that pit which is created, and how then the soil is put. That video I couldn't get, but all those videos are ready. Now, the second one is water conservation. Now, what we do is on-site water conservation, because we get the place where we are going to do the plantation. So we take the advantage of the geographical condition, physical condition of that particular area. What we do is we do construct the bunds there, we make artificial lakes, we create trenches, we build up bandharas to store water, and water conservation by parallel trenches, and maybe with plastic bottles with each plant we keep. That was the earlier technique that we used to have, but now we are more with the bandharas and the bunds and the trenches and the artificial lakes. Rainwater harvesting also, we urban rainwater not into on the housing societies as far as rainwater harvesting is concerned. As the name said, the construction of bunds at Bhavade for water storage, creation of artificial lakes, which I mentioned earlier at Koknipada, creation of trenches at Bhavade, bandharas to store water, water conservation by parallel trenches. Now, for water management, in addition to all this, the tanks drip, you could see in that previous video that drip at Tetavli, about 65% of the plantation area is under drip. So sometimes we also have to ask for the tanker in the extreme summer cases, or otherwise we also do manually the watering to the plant. Now, selection of the place for bunds, dams or bandharas, that is also very critically and very systematically studied. The slope is studied, the storage capacity also is found out, and the availability of the sand and the stones and the boulders which are there around, those are all made use of when we build up our bandhara or the bund. Now, these are some of the photographs which I just wanted to show. The extreme down, that is the left, is the one which is at Koknipada, where abandoned stone quarries are the one which we made use of, and we could make 5 artificial lakes there. Then the middle one is a rivulet which has been stopped by constructing the bunds across that rivulet. Then this is Tetavli, where you can see the construction of bunds, and there are 3 bunds which we have constructed so that we have sufficient water for maybe up to summer season. Sometimes it doesn't happen, then in that case we have to ask for the tanker water. But you can see the beautiful site of Tetavli, and you can see that dam, kind of a dam that we have built up there, and in the monsoon, that is what is the condition. Then we have these such parallel trenches which were built in Bhavare, this way back in 2010. And then one volunteer putting water, plastic bottle there for the plant. And also you can see the bunds which are storing, which are creating artificial water bodies, and the water is stored there. So by all means, we try to see that we are self-sufficient for that particular site, at least as far as the water requirements are concerned. Well, now we come to the composting. I personally believe composting is the key to move towards zero garbage. And I'm very proud to say that Hariyali, Mulund Vibhag has submitted a proposal to T Ward for zero garbage for T Ward. That was submitted somewhere in 2014-15, but we had given all the ways how you can do it. And in fact, if that happens, then T Ward can be a role model for other wards in Mumbai. But let's see when it happens. But we have submitted a proposal. Well, this composting, it's a very information that most of you know about. There are some things which I'm going to add. It is the transformation of organic material through decomposition into a soil-like material called compost. Now, it is called as a biocomposting because it is with the help of the living things, living organisms. They may be either invertebrates or they may be microorganisms. So invertebrates may be mites, centipedes, snails, slugs, ants. All of them will come when you start your composting. But most of the time in invertebrates, the earthworms are the one which are used predominantly, because they are the one we have learned from school that they are the friends of farmers, because they make the soil upside down, and they really do that. And the microorganisms which are in the form of bacteria, fungi, or actinomycetes, and they help in this transformation. Now, they obtain energy by oxidizing the organic matter, that is the waste that we give them. And that is what we should keep in mind, that we must give them what they need. Then only they will grow, and the composting or the decomposition will be quicker. Now in the diagram, I don't know how much you can see, but there is a small sketch that is made, which is of the compost pits. And down is a table which probably I know you will not be able to see very clearly, but that table contains a number of flats and what is the size of the pit required. Because normally per flat about 0.7 kg of waste is created. Out of that, 40% is the biodegradable waste which we can treat with the composting. So with this we give the societies an idea how much waste that they are creating and what size pit they need to have. So these 6 things are important. Adding ingredients, temperature has to be monitored, moisture has to be monitored, culture, what we use is here the cow dung powder or the slurry. You don't need to order for any culture from Amazon or anything else. You can have your cow dung as your culture. Then turning is very important, and harvesting. Well, now the things to understand, as I'm saying, is because there are different factors that we need to understand, and then we will be more clear about what we are doing in composting. Organisms need carbon, nitrogen, air, and water. Now, what the carbon-rich material is all dry, and brown material is carbon-rich. And you have straw, dry leaves, wood chips, whatever dry and brown is carbon. Then the nitrogen material tends to be rather wet and green, with the grass, garden waste, kitchen waste. Our kitchen waste comes here, nitrogen-rich material. But naturally, there has to be a proper ratio that has to be maintained. Then the air factor. Bacteria here in the composting are are all aerobic in nature. So they need air, they need oxygen. And that is what for the pits, when you make, the pits also should have the small holes on the sides, and also down should have a small way for the leachate to come out, and this excess of water. And this leachate also can be used for the plants. You can just dilute that leachate, 5 ml to 100 ml, and that you can give to your plants. Anyway, so natural aeration is required and regular turning is required. Then the moisture factor. Optimum moisture content should be about 40 to 50%, and thin water films are required on the surface of the organic material, because see, it is the microorganisms which are, and the enzymes from microorganisms are going to act on this biodegradable waste. So they must have the surface area, more surface area, and also surface area for the action. Surface area should be moist, always in a moist condition. And so to keep it moist, the moisture level has to be maintained, but it should not be more than 40%, because if the moisture level increases, then the aerobic bacteria will not be there, and aerobic bacteria growth will start. And this aerobic bacteria will be definitely giving a very bad stink. And then we feel that composting gives stink. It is not that. It is your moisture that is increased, and that is how the stink comes. Then the temperature factor. Temperature also is moderate. You can always put your just finger in, or you can put a thermometer, or you can put a metal bar and see how much is the temperature, because all this entire decomposition process is going to have temperature, the heat creation. The particle size, which I talked about, because of the area is for the enzyme to act. And so my request is, as kitchen vegetable, in kitchen, we cut the vegetables into smaller, nice pieces. Similarly, whatever that waste that you put in the compost pit or the bin also should have the smaller size of that waste material. If the moisture is more, then you always have to add dry leaves or the sawdust. E. coli divides very fast. Every 20 minutes, there is a doubling. Then waste to be chopped and shredded, but please do not powder it with the your mixer. We should not do that. And then volume depends upon the pit size and the quantity of the waste. This is just a chart showing non-biodegradable and biodegradable waste. And then the 4 points that you need to remember is browns, greens, air, and water. Then the tools which in short I will talk about, I don't need to read it. The pit or the basket or the whatever material the pit you make of, that should be as per the size of what waste that you produce. And you must have the tools such as the pitchfork for turning, gloves, compost thermometer, metal rod, and so on. Pit should not be generally more, so that it cannot more in length or even in the depth, because otherwise it is very difficult to manage the pit, because you have to turn it right from down. Pit to be covered with the cover net, green color net. Pit shall have very small openings in the side walls, as I earlier mentioned about it, and bigger opening at the base of the pit, so to have a leachate out. Then I have just given the layers, how you do. I will just quickly run through it because I'm running short of time a little bit. Base should be of the bare ground or loosely laid bricks. Then on that should be the 6-inch, depending on the size of the pit, chopped corn cobs or coconut peel. आपल्या नारळाच्या शेंड्या असतात त्या घालून पण चालेल. Coconut hair, corn stalk, everything should go down. Then on that there should be a thin layer of soil. म्हणजे ते सगळं दिसलं नाही पाहिजे खालचा बेस. So cover it with the thin layer of any soil will do. Then spread your cow dung powder or slurry, as then naturally after the thin layer of soil you have your chopped green waste about 6 inches, and on that you put your cow dung powder or slurry as culture. Even buttermilk can do, old compost can be used, fish water can be used. Layer of dry leaves on uppermost side, that is your layer that is done, and every day you go on adding your waste in there. Only thing you have to turn it every 3 days and also add the culture. Just spread the cow dung powder on it, that is good enough. Don't worry about any fumes start coming out, because sometimes in the summer season the heat generated is so much that sometimes you see the fumes, but you don't need to worry about that. Even don't worry, when you see some worms or some insects or fungus or anything, all that is going to help in the process of composting. Now, once the pit is full, stop putting the waste, cover it with the regular lid with the net, uncover and turn intermittently, because once the pit is full, then you have to stop putting your waste there. And then you follow this. It may take about 8 to 10 days. Intermittently, you're going to turn the waste. And after 10 days or 8 days or 15 days maximum, you can see that the whole pit will turn into black thing. And that waste that you had put, that will start sitting down. It will go down. And once the color is black, you can understand, it indicates rather the complete composting. And then it can be shredded and it can be sieved and then can be used for your plantation, or directly sowing with the soil or mixing with the soil. NPK values are very important for the quality, but as we do composting, it is not in our control what kind of a waste that we are going to get, because we get the waste from municipality. So depending upon what type of waste is, NPK values are found out, and then you know exactly what is less there, whether the potassium is less or the phosphorus is less or the nitrogen is less. Accordingly, you can do the remedy for your plants. Now, this I'm not going to go into the detail. This is vermiculture, that is for with the help of earthworms. Everything remains same except that these earthworms are very sensitive, and that is why you have to be very careful in maintaining them, because they all respire through their skin. And so if the moisture is less, they will die. If the temperature is more, they will die. And you need to really take care of these earthworms, and also need to maintain the pH of the soil. And again, pH of the soil depend upon what you add. So if you add limbu or the oranges or something imli, then that will change the pH. Even the non-veg material with a lot of masala and all, that will change the pH. And that is why there are some restrictions as far as vermicomposting is concerned. But definitely vermicomposting, because earthworms are also adding to it, because their castings are rich in calcium, magnesium, potassium, so many things. So the quality of the compost that you get from vermicomposting with the help of earthworm is much better, no doubt, as compared to that of the normal biocomposting. Then again, this is the layers which I have shown. I will not go into the details because it is the same as what we saw for the biocomposting. Now again, Hariyali's work. Hariyali is spreading a word of awareness among the housing societies by organizing seminars and providing know-how for moving towards zero garbage through composting or vermicomposting. It started this venture in 2013 and is successful in installing biocomposting or vermicomposting units in about 70 plus societies in Mulund and Thane, and also in several gardens. And I must say here that MCGM support is sought while working for the gardens and our other composting projects. Their support and sometimes their guidance also is very essential, and which we keep getting for our work. Now, this is what is on the left side is the one which you see, this is what is the box that Hariyali has created. And again, depending upon the number of flats and the amount of biodegradable waste that is produced, we give them the proper size. Then this middle basket is ideal for the one single household, maybe a family of 4. In this basket, you can have your composting. And the right diagram shows that the yield is out after the maybe 1.5 or 2 months. It takes about 1.5 to 2 months to have the complete composting. And people are sieving that to get the manure. We have one more project at Malviya Road. Rather, we had a project at Malviya Road which continued from 2016 to 2018. And it was in collaboration with BMC. BMC gave us the place. It is just opposite that Talwalkar Gymnasium in Mulund West, near that Samruddhi Hall. Those who are in Mulund would know. Where we had installed 10 boxes of that particular size, 8 by 4 by 2 and 12 by 4 by 2, and 1 metal box, 2 tumblers. And market waste was given to us. Municipality used to give market waste to us, but it was usually unsegregated. Lot of problems there, but still we could continue for 2 years, and about 268 metric ton of waste we treated. So we did not allow that 268 metric ton of biodegradable waste to go to dumping ground. Also from societies, I need to give you the number. From 2013 onwards up to 2018, what we calculated is about 3,500 metric ton of biodegradable waste we have treated, and we have not allowed this to go to the dumping ground. It is quite a thing, because even if we take care of the 40% of the waste that we create, which is a biodegradable waste which we can easily compost, I think that will be a great thing to happen. So this is a few photographs of that particular region where the worker is just taking care of that waste. And this is a tarpaulin bags on the right hand side, the green color bag that you see, which is about 10 by 4 by 2 feet. And it accommodates about, say, 300 kg of the waste. Such several boxes that we had kept, such several containers we had kept there. And you can see in the center, the compost bags, compost that is created, that is formed, and the worker showing the compost. Now, another biocomposting project that we are doing, and that is the one which is at Anand Nagar, Toll Naka. That is near Toll Naka, where again the place is given by municipality. 3,000 square feet area is there, where we have now set up a composting project. And there again also we made trial and error. We started with the green kapda, and then we did on the downside, you can see the kadappa, the pits were prepared, because large quantum of the biodegradable waste was going to come, and municipality van or the gadi, whatever you call, that used to come with the kachara. Then we also have this brick pit that we did. And then lastly, of late, maybe in December 2019, we had installed there a new system, which is a compost curing system, which is much faster and very easy to take care. We have trained some workers there so that they can take care of it. Now, January, February, 2 months, it was going on very well. From March 15 onwards, now everything is standstill. As you all know, it is all because of this lockdown. But as soon as we get an opportunity, naturally, we will start our work there. Now here, I must give you the numbers. This is a first of its kind public-private partnership that Hariyali has done. And waste from the hotels and the residential complexes is coming from BMC. And the next point I will speak little later. I'll first complete with the numbers. So in last 18 months, average 650 kg per day, if we calculate with that, about 327.6 metric ton of waste we have treated there. And from January 2020, because I said November we had this compost curing system. So from January, 1 metric ton per day was being treated there till March 15. And we intend to increase it to 3 metric ton per day. Let us see how it happens, provided we get that much of the waste from municipality. There are various reasons why you don't get the waste from municipality, whatever we ask for. Let us not go into that detail. But definitely the place is given by BMC, and also the total support is given by BMC, and also the waste every day is given by BMC. So in last 6 years, compost worth 6 lakhs we have generated, and we have reduced 4,000 metric ton of biodegradable waste from going to dumping ground. Totaling all this from the societies, from the Malviya Road, and also from Ananagar till March 15. It is a small beginning, but I think we all can join hands in such projects, and we can move towards zero garbage as far as Tea Ward is concerned. Well, the middle point which I said I will come little later is the Nirmalya during Ganesh festival. What we did, we started in 2018, and during the immersion days, volunteers from Hariyali used to stand near the immersion site, and we used to tell people, spread awareness, and tell them that don't put your nirmalya in that nirmalya kalash with the plastic bag. Remove that plastic bag and put it in a separate container. So we spread awareness, and on all immersion days to 2 major immersion sites in Mulund, and in 2018 we could collect, rather municipality gave us 25 metric ton of this Nirmalya. But in 2019, the Nirmalya was only 12 metric ton per day. 12 metric ton in that particular Ganesh season. So you can see that the awareness makes the difference. And that is what we should pursue. And we also treated this Nirmalya and form or generated a lot of compost. This compost we are now using. In a minute's time, I will tell you how we use this compost. But otherwise, major chunk of this compost was handed over to garden department T ward with a small function. And for this, particularly for Anand Nagar, we have a corporate funding, because for the operational maintenance and also for the actually the structure that to develop all, we need money, we need funding, and the corporate office funding is available to us. Well, then we have nursery activities. Now I'm to an end of my present. There are several activities which I can talk about, but I selected those three major where I could say something more as far as the scientific approach of Hariyali is concerned. Collection of seeds. We have a seed bank at Murad Road Nursery. Making of soil beds, making of saplings, maintenance of medicinal plants, watering of saplings, then a donation of seeds and saplings, then cleaning and collection of mulch. Mulch also is collected at Murad Road Nursery. And Kasar Vadoli and Tetoli. These are the three nurseries that we have where the nursery activities are going on. Then we make their soil beds as a small nursery activity. I thought I will just put this because we need to make a soil bed. Even if you put a plant in house in a kundi or in a plastic bag or in a box or wherever. So we need to have the soil bed, whether you make it on the ground, big soil bed, or you put it in a small box or a bucket or a kundi or a plastic bag. So how you should go about it. There's no need to dig. Put limiting bricks or whatever is available if you're doing it on the ground. But otherwise, you start if you're doing it in a plastic bag. Red soil or any soil available, which is for the carbon. So soil is a must. Then put green dry leaves. Dry leaves, wherever you have in your premise, you are with a lot of dry leaves which have fallen on the ground. You can collect them and put them at the base after a small thin layer of, depending upon the size of what in which you are planting your seed or the sapling. Then compost or lendikat or cow dung, whatever is available. The compost, as if you treat your waste at home, you have the compost available so that you can put that compost. Then total thickness not less than 6 inches, and then sprinkle water, make trenches, pour water in the trenches, and then put the seeds. Cover the pots by pressing down gently. This is a very simple process. I thought I will just include it in my presentation. Now one more video I just want to show what we show at nursery, where we, the same thing what I have written here, you can see this video.
Welcome to the Hariyali channel. We at Hariyali collect seeds from the trees or those seeds that we eat, fruits like jamun, guava, papaya, sitafal, chickpea, etc. We dry them well
It's not
and
happening.
store them and sow them in these plastic bags. You can have milk pouches. You can have these bags also. When you are using milk pouches, we need to make holes in them. You can punch holes or you can take a sharp instrument and make holes. That will ensure proper drainage of water. The seeds that I have collected are many: tamarind, chickpea, amlatas, avla, mango, pumpkin, limbo, parijat, neem, sunpushpi, and marigold. Those seeds are hard, need to be soaked in water overnight. How do we begin? We fill the bottom part of the pouch with dry leaves so that drainage happens, and these dry leaves will add to the manure value of the pouch. Next, we will be adding a lot of mud mixed with a little compost or manure. Add to that, fill it up till almost 2/3 full. Then you can add the seed you want to sow. Just give it a tap and push in the corners of the bag so that it stands steady. You need to tap a few times so that the soil settles in well. Now, today I am going to add the limbu seeds. Usually, you can add 2 or 3 seeds, cover it up with a little soil, fold the top part so that the pouch stands stable. It is very important, otherwise, while watering over a period of days, it may fall, the seed may get dislocated. Then water the pouch. This I have done many a times at Hariyali, and here is one that I did at home 2 months back. I have a beautiful papaya sapling growing in my pouch. This is very important. We look after it for quite some time till they grow 2 to 3 feet tall. Then we plant them in the ground, donate to people who can plant them in societies or any space that they have. They can even plant them in their terrace garden.
Well, so you could see that how it is a simple process, but then that is required to be done when the volunteers from the different walks of life come there for their Hariyali nursery activity. Then is the awareness presentation to various educational institutes, corporate offices, clubs and mandals. The list was earlier also you have seen, but this is in particular of that of spreading awareness. Here I just have shown you some 2 photographs. One is of a medicinal plant exhibition, which was held at Kalidas some 3 years back. And you can see the students. When the medicinal plant exhibition is there, we inform the nearby schools and give them the timing for the visit. Class wise the students come, and that is how they come to know about the medicinal plants. At our nursery, as I said earlier, we are also taking care of the medicinal plants and which are required for us when we hold the exhibitions. We have about 150 odd medicinal plants in our Murrah Road nursery, and they are growing very healthily. The other photograph is the tray seed collection, where students are told about which are the seeds, how to collect the seeds, which plants you expect the seeds, and these seeds are then, as you saw in the photograph, are collected and then segregated and then put into pouches. Well, this is the last, I'm coming to the fag end of my presentation. After composting, we started a new thing that is about the kitchen gardening. It is kind of a circular economy, I call it. I don't know whether it is a correct word or not. You put your waste for composting, the degradable waste from the kitchen, you compost it, you have a compost, and then you use that compost for growing the vegetables maybe on your window-sill or in your balcony, and you again use that organic food, pure organic food for yourself. So, and the compost that is created, generated, can be very easily used in this activity. So in 2019, we conducted a workshop for trainers, like we all are Hariyali members, and now we are going to, it is training trainers, that is what we had, and now we are all trained, sort of trained from the experts to talk about what is kitchen gardening, how to go about it, and how we can do it. So it is actually an extension of composting activity. Well, I cannot conclude before saluting to our Hariyali's great visionary and founder president Sri Poonam Singhvi and all our senior members. These all our senior members keep on giving us a vision, and in front of us they are like role models, and that is how all our Hariyali volunteers follow on their footsteps. Well, that is all what I had as far as Hariyali and Hariyali's scientific approach towards the activities are concerned. I have selected only few activities. All activities are not been covered because I had to talk in length as far as the scientific approach is concerned. But anyway, what I had to present before you, conserve environment. Thank you very much for patient hearing. Thank you.
धन्यवाद मॅडम.
पीपीटी बंद कर सचिन, पीपीटी बंद कर.
हा मॅडम, तुम्ही पीपीटी बंद करू शकता.
Okay.
Screen sharing you can stop.
Okay. Stop, no? Okay.
Okay. So madam, we have received a few questions.
Yeah.
First question is from Mr. Avinash Harde. He wants to plant some trees in his barren land.
Yeah.
How Hariyali will help us? That is his question.
Which place it is, where you are located? that is the big question, because we all are from Mulund, Thana, and Dombivli and the area around. If you are far off, we can visit once and give you the plan, how you can do about it, which are the plants that you can, the endemic plants that you can go for. But it will be difficult if you are a little far off. We can definitely guide you. On phone, we can guide you.
Okay. Okay, next question is from Dr. S.M. Diwanji. So much activity regarding environmental issues. So a major step is to be included in education. So in schools and colleges are needed to include the subject with hands-on experience. So can you enlighten a bit about this?
I don't know, because we have environment as a subject right from the schools, but I don't know how much the environment is taught going into the environment, going into the field. Most of the environment, particularly the projects also, particularly what I see in little higher standards, the projects which are done, that very much depends upon the enthusiasm of the teacher. And that is how the teacher can give them the newer projects wherein students can work, and their interest can be, interest can be generated in the students. But we have it in our syllabus, in our curriculum, we have the environment as a subject. Only thing, the curriculum has to be little bit reformulated. Then only it can be done. Reformulated in the sense you must have more projects and you must have more work-oriented syllabus as far as environment is concerned. But we hardly have any place where we can take the students, number one. We hardly have any time we have a limited time. In that limited time, whatever projects within the school that we can do, like composting. We go to different schools for showing them how the composting in the school can be done. So this kind of small projects which could be done in the school's premises can be very much encouraged, and many schools are doing that. because we've been to various schools, and schools also hold the exhibitions, medicinal plant exhibition. They also keep the lectures, but more hands-on experience has to be there for the students.
Right. So next question is from Rajshekhar Karlekar. He's asking how many plants are recommended per acre of land according to Hariyali method. About like every type of plant.
If you are planting the tree variety, then in an acre about 400 plants can be accommodated with a proper spacing, and then in between spacing you can have the herbs, but in an acre about 400, not more than that, if you want to have a proper spacing, because they are going to be the tree variety.
Okay. Then next question is from Mr. Ashish Saxena. He's asking what is the right season to give manure to plants?
First of all, you must have the soil quality. What you have, the quality of soil should be known to you. And once you know the quality of the soil, accordingly, you can go on replenishing the soil so that the required components are given. Normally, in the winter season, you put your manure as we saw in the video, and then you put a mulch by the end of the winter, so that the manure action also is taking place and also the moisture is not going out. So generally, by the end of the winter, even when you plant the tree, little bit of manure has to be put. We normally at Hariyali, for our plantation site, we always mix up the soil and the compost together when we plant the sapling or plant a tree. After that, there is no need to put any manure. After that, you put it somewhere maybe by end of winter, towards the end of winter, and then you put a mulch, and that is it, so that the moisture is conserved. And as it is, you are watering the plants regularly.
Okay. Next question is from Sri Chandravadan Joshi. He is asking if Miyawaki forest concept is it practical and useful? And his another question is if liquid nano clay method, is it still in conceptual stage, or we are using it also?
Liquid, can you repeat?
Liquid nano clay method.
Nano clay method, okay. Liquid nano clay method is very much in use, but not as familiar to all those who are doing plantation. And the first question was what? What was the first part of the question?
First part is a Miyawaki forest concept.
Miyawaki forest, well, you can have the forest in a small area. That is what precisely in the form of an ecosystem. What is Miyawaki forest? Is actually a forest ecosystem that you are creating. So provided everything is fulfilled, everything is done in a systematic way, that will definitely work because it is an ecosystem. That is what precisely we talked about. In Miyawaki, you have all kinds of trees which are planted in a small area. So Miyawaki does work, provided it is been done with a proper vision and in a systematic manner.
Nice. Then I've got 3 questions from Mr. Satish Patankar. Well, I'll ask one by one. First is, which indigenous varieties of plants do you recommend in urban context?
Well, that again depends upon how much place you have. If you have a place and you want to have your Vruksha variety, you can have, so many are there. If you have the proper place, you can have Taman, you can have Moha, you can have Mango, People. All these are indigenous variety, Bahawa. Then Vaivarna, Kashid, all these plants we have in our, which are all indigenous plants, which we have in our Hariyali, Tetoli forest. So all these indigenous plants, because majority of plants what we have, even if you want to put a plant on the roadside, there also all the plants are very exotic, which are planted. So if you want to avoid that, you can have small plants like, if you have a small place, balcony or a smaller area, then you can have your flowering plants, but that too exotic flowering plants one should not have, or you can have it for your own pleasure. But what I would suggest is you can have your Sadafuli, you can have your shoe flower, you can have your Ananta, you can have Kaner. So all these plants as flowering plants you can have. In a small area, if you want to have and invite butterflies, then you can also have Ghanericha jhad you can put, that is Camera lentina you can have. Then you can have Kadi Patta, you can have small limbu plant, which are, because butterflies need the host plant and or the food plant. So you must have the combination of the two. But if you have a bigger plant, then I can give you a list of indigenous plants which can be planted.
Nice. Then his second question is, what is the survival rate of plantation done by Hariyali in its projects? Survival rate.
Yeah, at the moment, at our because in 2007, that is way back, we had presented a paper in an international conference, and there we had visited every site to find out the survival rate, because survival rate depends upon very many factors. Whether, because some places like pipelines, some places like Bhanduk pipeline or Mulund pipeline, where it is no man's land. Nobody is there to take care of those plants. We do sometimes go and see that the watering is done, but then there are several other factors which also act on it. So there the survival rate is maybe sometimes 60%, sometimes even 30% on such area. But where you have the areas which are very much with the demarcation, like our Tetoli. In Tetoli, we have survival rate of 95%. Only once last year, in January 2019, we had a repeated occurrence of fire. And due to fire, a lot of trees, about 2,000 trees were negatively impacted. But then what we did was, we kept on giving the water to those plants, and about 80% of the plants again survived. They all started again. So in the area which is committed for the plantation, where there is an arrangement for watering, where there is no other encroachment factor. Earlier we used to have at Tetoli also a lot of encroachment factor, and because there is a Jhopadpatti by the side, so then we had to take some measures. And then now for last consecutively 2 years, we have our survival rate. Means after this fire incident, the survival rate is 95%. I'm very proud to say that we have a very good survival rate, because we have the drip system in 65%. We have the water management. We have the manual way of watering the plants. We have bore well. From bore well, we take the water from the lower tank to the upper tank. So at the upper region, because we have elevation also. In Tetoli, we have elevation. So on the from the upper tanks, manually the water is given to the plants very religiously, very systematically, and that is how I think the survival rate is 95%.
Wonderful. And then last question from him is, what are the various ways to participate in activities of Hariyali?
Well, various ways. There is only one way by which you can participate in Hariyali's activities. We have the email address of our Thana, Mulund and Dombivli Vibhag. As you send a mail to that particular mail, telling your interest in which activity you want to work, because we have the coordinators for each activity. So then the person who looks after the mailbox rather will forward your mail to the respective coordinator, and then you can be connected with the coordinators, and that could be done. You can be given the answer. You will be replied on the mail once the coordinator is informed.
Okay. The next question, I think this is similar question from two people, Mr. Samir Karve and Miss Ashwini Doreswamy. So they are asking, how can we do the wet composting indoors at our home, especially if our society doesn't offer the compost pits, because they might not be having spaces. So they are skeptical that how to place the manure and how to use it in composting. So would you recommend dry composting? They need some advice about it.
See, there is nothing like dry composting or wet composting. You mean dry waste, you mean? The waste material dry. If dry waste material is
Yes.
there or the wet waste material is there, the process remains same. What you
Okay.
need to have for your own flat, your own family of 4, 5, whatever biodegradable waste that you create, you need to do some prerequisite things, like you need to collect some, you need to have soil, you need to have that basket which I showed in the picture, a green basket, which is available with Mr. Joshi from Thane. We have the contact number that we can give you. And after getting that box, if you start with your composting, you must have some dry leaves or the sawdust. So all those things which are required are to be first collected, and then only you start with your composting. It is very easy. You can keep it in your hall or in your living room also. There is no stink coming, provided you maintain your moisture.
Okay. So
So it
there
is
is no
very,
need.
very easy.
Okay.
No need for you to wait for the society to start. If the society
Okay.
or the building does, yeah, we always recommend that the building should come forward. I mean, the society should come forward and get the pits built so that more of a compost can be, and more systematically things can be done. But if it is not done, then you can do at your own level. There are many people who are doing for their own. At least that much waste is not going to the ground, dumping ground.
Okay, now I'll take the last question. There are many high quality and flourishing trees which got uprooted in our Raigad, Konkan due to Nisarga cyclone. So is there any way these trees can be restored? So can you say something about it?
Well, restoration, because what we do, I mean, we are not in a position, Hariyali will not be in a position to go there and restore the trees. But what we do, that is what I will tell you. What we do is here, whenever we see in the monsoon season, whenever we see abandoned small sapling, those saplings we collect and bring it to our nursery. For the trees which are uprooted and the larger trees which are, the local NGO or local people should come forward and do something about the replanting those trees if they are in a condition of replanting. Or otherwise, well, a group of people can committedly study the area, which plants are gone, which plants are uprooted, which plants can be again replenished there, or which plants to be newly planted there. All that has to be systematically done. I don't know whether, I really don't know how much Hariyali will be in a position to help in this.
I think we are done with almost all the questions, and it was really wonderful and very explorative to see all the activities and all the work that is being done by Hariyali. And I thank you on behalf of Vidnyan Vibhag of Maharashtra Seva Sangh, Mulund, and also I think this was very encouraging to all the people, and I think many people would take up this seriously, and I think this is not just the thing to be discussed about. This is definitely something to be acted upon, and I think your entire presentation was all about the action, action, and action. So I think with that note only, I think we can now conclude this session. Thank you so much for joining in.
This is because, a small word, last word, this is because Hariyali is action-oriented NGO.
Correct. And so I think we can conclude with this point, and we will keep you updated with our next session. But before that, I just want to request you all that please go ahead and fill out the feedback forms, as we will be sending you the link for the same. Because your feedbacks and your suggestions are really very important to help us improve our programs further, and also let us know which kind of webinars and which kind of activities you want you want us to do. So thank you so much again. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Yes, I think Sadekar Kaka, you can now stop this.
I can leave now, no?